Hey everybody, Matt at Arnzen Arms here. We're here with Dustin Sanchez from JP Rifles,
How's it going, guys?
and we're here to talk about JP Rifles and everything that goes with them. Sale that we're going to have, and I think Mark's got a couple people he wants to talk about too.
Yeah, good. I want to introduce everybody on the line. We've got James Neat. He's an engineer for JP Rifles. Hey, James, how you doing?
Hey, everybody, doing fantastic.
Really, really great. And we've also got two shooters from the pro team. We've got Josh Freilich. Hey, Josh.
What's happening? Excited to talk with you all about all this fine JP product that I've been running on my gear for years.
Awesome. And then, of course, Dakota Overland. Welcome, Dakota.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys. It's good to see everybody. A lot of us have shot a lot of matches together, but not so much this season. So I'm going to kick it back over to Matt to talk about the sale we've got going on.
All right. So the sale that we're going to have is from now through the weekend, so through Sunday. We're going to have any rifle purchased from now until then is going to get a free scope mount with it, one of these guys, and then magazines. If it's a 9mm, you get one free mag with it. With bolt guns, you're going to get 2 AICS mags. With 223 guns, you're going to get 3 of the Magpul mags. And again, that's from now through Sunday. And you can find the rifles online either at our website or on JP Rifles website in their available inventory section.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, and we're here to answer questions. So if you got questions, fire away.
Yeah, let's fire a lot of questions out there. I wanted to talk about something real fast because you just held up our scope mount.
Mm-hmm.
I know Josh, well, everybody on here, I don't know if you run our scope mount.
I do. I have it on 2 rifles.
So everybody on here runs this scope mount. It's a phenomenal scope mount. Hey, Josh and Dakota, I know you guys have been running this for a couple of years now. Do either one of you guys care to chime in and let the audience know exactly what's going on with this scope mount?
Yeah, for sure. So if you haven't gotten your hands on any of the JP mounts, whether that's this scope mount in 30mm, 34mm, whatever it is, you should. So I've been running it on all of my guns. So I've got the 34mm here on this rifle, my new LRI 20, 6.5, and then, I'm running it again with this Vortex Razor 1-10. So, 30mm, 34mm, super heavy duty. It's hard to tell when you're not there putting your hands on it. But when you get your hands on the scope mount, they've got 3 really, really heavy duty bolts on each side for front and back. So a total of 6 bolts holding that thing on the scope into the mount. And then a whole rail. Yeah, a whole rail of heavy duty bolts holding that thing to the receiver. So it is not going anywhere. Super nice stuff.
We actually have a question from Amax, who's a friend of everybody's here, is when is JP going to come out with the 1.93 inch mount? Maybe that's for engineering, James.
Don't currently have any plans, so I don't know about that. I can certainly look into it.
So I think what Amax is trying to say there is
so that over here. There we go.
What I think Amax is trying to say there, James, is that you need to get on top of that when you get whatever project you're on now.
We actually have 2 people wanting to know more about that, which is interesting. So we happen to know all of them. So I'm sorry to say. Really good.
Oh, there's a fun fact about the 30mm ones. These also come with little inserts for 1-inch scopes, if that's what you decide you want to run.
Yep. So I know I've run this this mount on all of my rifles and all of my optics, and I will literally move it from one rifle and just throw it on the next rifle and shoot it. Doesn't matter. They work great.
Yeah. Well, we just took one off of one of my rifles and moved it to another one on Sunday, and minimal movement that we had to do.
So I know on my LRP07 on my large frame 308, I'll run the 1-6 on here. I'll take it off, go shoot limited, and put my my Spitfire on there. I can literally take that Spitfire off, put this back on there, torque it down to the same specs, and I'll double check 0, but I never have to mess with my optic. It holds 0 the whole time. So
yeah,
they're great optic mounts. That's why I wanted to throw that out there and let people know exactly what's being offered in this deal.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself too. So fantastic mount.
Hey, I want to say, while we wait for some other questions before we get into this, I just want to let everybody know it is Dakota Oberlin's birthday today. How old are you, Dakota?
Hey.
I'm 17 today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, here's an awesome question, and happy birthday to you, Dakota. So Jermaine would like to know, how do we know which 9mm short stroke system we should select when ordering, e.g. if hand loading 124, 147 with 130 to 135 power factor, is 3 steels, 2 tungsten good for the job, or 5 tungsten or 5 steels?
That's a good question. Yep. And the answer is tricky. Depends on what powder you're running, depends on your overall length, depends on a lot of stuff. And so the best thing to do, is get one of those setups from JP, and then maybe get a couple extra tungsten or a couple extra steel. And those SCSs are super easy to adjust. You can pull one of the steel off, throw an extra tungsten on, and then really, if you've got a load you like, it's accurate, it's soft shooting, you can tune that SCS specific for the load that you like. That's one of the values of the SCS, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I've done the same thing on my 308 is I've adjusted my SCS to run perfect to my 308. And it's the same thing with the 9mm. I know a lot of steel challenge guys that reload, they're running the 3 tungsten and 2 steels, how they end up running theirs. They modified theirs a little bit. James Neat, how do you run yours?
I run 5 steel.
Okay.
So I started to use 5 tungsten, but I have terrible recoil management, and it just took me a little bit longer to get back on target. Put 5 steels on, and it gave me more time to put that dot back where it needed to be.
Josh, which one are you running?
Well, that's a good question. So I have several guns that are all tungsten. That's my preference. I like to slow that thing down. I really like what the dot does with a heavy recoil system in an AR-9. But my newest gun, for whatever reason, is just a hair different. Perhaps it's because the springs are fresh, right? And so I'm running 1 steel and 4 tungsten on my newest gun. And so the answer is having a few extra weights around in both steel and tungsten really allows you to mess around with it and make sure it's what you want to shoot and what you're comfortable with.
I agree.
Good call.
We have a couple new questions here. Someone wants to see the light short barrel rifle. Do we have anything? Is that,
Are they talking about
looking on the camera? I can't tell, or if it's
are they talking about ultralight 9mm?
He just says, I want to see the light short barrel rifle. Maybe it's that guy.
I'm guessing it is. You got it. This guy right here, 9mm pistol.
Run through it.
It's
and you want to be on your microphone, brother.
Good call. It is a 9mm pistol, 8-inch barrel on a forged upper receiver, and obviously a GMR 15 lower with tactical compensator. Not much more to say about it. It does have silent captured spring in it.
Yeah,
As all this one is short stroke. Yep, definitely short stroke. But it's nothing special. It just, I think this one has the 5 steel weights on it.
Well, it's a JP, so it's special.
Does anybody have
Fair
any
enough.
experience running that particular brace? You never used that one.
Actually, I bought this gun. I have this gun personally. I don't have the brace on it because I turned it into an SBR, but the SBA3 brace, I love it. I wouldn't have anything else.
Yeah, the SBA3 brace has been really popular, especially for us here at JP. We have a lot of people that actually started asking for that particular brace. That's why we started carrying it. So it is probably the most popular brace out there right now.
I mean, the great thing about it is you can pop it onto any carbine tube. How can you not like that?
So there's something else. This is this is our new buffer tube that we just released. So it's a 7-position buffer tube, and the specs and everything of the buffer tube are made specifically for our SES. I mean, it'll work with any buffer system, any buffer spring, but it is specifically to the specs to meet JP specs with our SES.
And then we've got a comment from to follow up is what's the price on that guy?
$1945.
Cool. And that includes today?
Yes. Oh, today it will include a free magazine. One of these fancy 33 round Glock magazines.
Awesome. And we've got a bunch of happy birthdays for Dakota. Just want to make you aware that Justin Martin, Eric Hall.
Thank you.
Yeah, really cool everybody's in on that. And then another question is, when will the gold trigger be available?
I knew somebody was going to ask that question. Hey, James Neat, you want to handle that since you're in engineering?
No comment. I don't have an answer for that right now.
All right. So the deal with the gold trigger is, though it seems like we get a lot of people wanting the gold trigger, at the end of the day, it's very few that are actually asking for the gold trigger, and trying to talk to management into getting that has been, they're very interested. They are talking about it. So as long as you guys keep sending in comments and questions like that, asking about it, eventually management's going to give in and let us start ordering those gold triggers, and then we can make, you all happy with that. Personally, I think you should all just run blue stuff on your rifle and call it a day.
Yes, and that's how it works.
I agree with that too.
And then planning on different color selections while we're screwing up with this, is any color selections coming for the side charger, the competition side charger? I'm assuming they mean the.
So I know you can get that Cerakoted right now, but that's it. I mean, as far as I know, we're not going to change that and offer that in any other color besides black. However, you can get different parts of your rifle Cerakoted when you order your rifle. So that's not.
And on that one, it can only be Cerakoted different colors because it's 7075 that doesn't like colored anodizing.
Okay, so then there you go.
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know anything about that, that's the type of metal that it is, and it accepts the Cerakoting, will not accept anodizing, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So when James Neats talks, guys, he's an engineer, so we're gonna have to kind of coach him on this. So
Now,
hold
7075
with
is,
us on this.
is what metal now?
That's an aluminum.
Awesome.
I mean, I felt that needed to be mentioned.
And then just to answer the
Thank you
question,
for translating.
yeah, we do offer a military discount at Arnzen Arms. It's always 5% on new firearms, and we would honor that in this overall package for my ASA 58. All right. What 223 rifles are currently available?
Are they talking about like on our available site and what we got here?
Yeah.
What all we got here?
We have 2 JP 15 patrol rifles. There's 2 ultralights, and there is an 18-inch competition rifle. Other than that, that's it for 223s right now.
Okay, and then also I mean, if you're looking for something to get today, that's what we got. And then JP also
Yes.
has a ready rifle program. You can always call into Arnzen Arms and get that going. We do offer other rifles as they're coming in, or we're building them. Somebody backs out of sale. We do put them up there. You can get all that stuff through Arnzen Arms if you'd like. So
Yeah. So you can check out JP's website. They do have available inventory rifles on there, and we have and we can get any of those for you. And we have our rifles on the shelf here. And again, if you buy a 223 rifle, you're going to get a scope mount and 3 of these mags. That's now through Sunday.
now, I don't think this particular rifle up here. Let me grab this real fast.
Yeah, well, he's grabbing that. Just to be very clear with everybody, you can go to JP Rifles in their available now section and see anything there is literally available now. We can manage that transaction, or go to Arnzen Arms on the brands page for JP is all the available guns.
Mm-hmm.
So this rifle was just brought into us by a JP employee when he came over here, James Leffler. This is a rifle just came back. It's been ran in 2 3-gun matches that I know, so it is used, but it is a Gun Candy blue steel JP 15. That's a sexy rifle here.
There's actually a question on here about Gun Candy. How durable is that coating?
Gun Candy's is very durable. It's just like regular Cerakote. I mean, anything out there though, you can scratch it. Of course, if you go shoot a match, you're pretty rough on it, but it is really durable. You got any comments on that, Neat?
Got it. It's durable. I mean, I'll throw my gun onto rocks. I'll go prone with it, throw it into buckets. It'll get little dings. It's not going to be perfect, but regular anodizing isn't perfect either. So
I know Josh is pretty rough on his rifles. And I see the normal wear and tear on his rifles as well. I don't think you got anything to add to that, Josh?
I think wear and tear looks cool. When it starts as like a beautiful gun candy or beautiful Cerakote job on these guns, and then you like earn that battle worn look versus buying it that way right out of the gate, I think it adds to the flavor.
Right. I agree.
Me too.
Yeah, my world shoot rifle is Gun Candy, and honestly, I see no more wear on that than I do any of my other rifles. And I spent a long time practicing with that rifle last summer. So
For all of you that don't know Dakota, she's been with us for since you were about 14. Is that right, Dakota? Shooting or running?
Yeah, probably about then.
And how many majors did you shoot last year in a world match? Do you know?
Probably like 15 to 17, I'd say,
Yeah, so
including worlds, which was a lot considering I had to practice.
right. So you've put a lot of wear through your rifles, and you probably have one of the coolest rifles I've seen. It's the American flag with gun candy. And every time I see that rifle, I know you're using it and abusing it, but the gun candy's holding up really nice on there. It still looks beautiful.
Yeah. It's honestly still my favorite rifle. There's some scratches and chips, but I mean, with how rough I've been with it, just through competition, what comes with it, it's holding up fantastic. And it still looks great. So
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Here's a good one. Is the M-Lock ready for shipping?
The M-Lock, we released the M-Lock on our website about a month ago. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I know we have been shipping them out, and we may have, I don't know. I'm not sure if we've already went into back order on those because they were really popular. I saw somewhere somebody had said that, but we do have the M-Lock. They are ready to go. That is James Neat's project. So if you want more details, ask those questions right now, because we have the guy who actually designed that on this Zoom call with us. He can tell you a lot more, but it is an awesome handguard.
Those M-Lock handguards are on our webpage too.
Oh, sweet. And actually we have, thanks, James.
One
We have
just rolled
another
in.
James over here.
There you go.
Got it. So we have James Leffler here as well. He is the last guy. If you order a rifle from JP, he is one of the last guys to touch it. So he is he is our QC guy. So he literally touches almost every rifle goes out, and he's the guy that will kick something back to the guys in the shop or anybody else if it needs to be needs something else done to it to make sure it meets all of our specs. So there it is. The thing is sexy. So it's I've already had some questions coming in through
Real quick, pull that way up to the camera. Really nice. Cool. And let's show it off over here on Insta as well, so these guys can see it.
Both sides here.
Yeah, it's a brand new product, guys. It's like a first look for us. So,
hey, James, while we're showing this off, you want to throw some details out there on this?
Yep, so I just double checked. It is not currently on our back order report yet, but it might be soon. So if you want one, get it while it's hot. It has a very unique mounting system where most of these clamp-on handguards just go onto a smooth tube. Ours actually goes onto a partially threaded tube. So it's incredibly strong. There's zero weeble wobble. If you're doing 3-gun slamming into buckets, or if you have a front sight mounted on there, you can be confident that's not going to lose zero on you because it's locked on very rigidly. The other big thing that I really like about it is the texture. We spent a lot of time working on that texture to have it feel almost like a rubber overmold. It feels soft in your hand, even though it's straight aluminum. But that rock blasting, it's grippy, it holds onto your hands, but it's not going to rip your hands up. So it's a very good balance of strength and durability.
What'd you call that? It's rock blasted?
Rock blast, yep.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's what I was
pretty
about to bring up. We've had a lot of people asking about the texture on there, and it is it kind of reminds me of a bed liner. If you're familiar with some of the bed liners that go in a truck.
Oh yeah.
It's similar to that, not as big and aggressive, and it's got more grip to it, but that's the closest thing I can compare it to. So
Yeah, pretty slick.
yeah, wasn't expecting that to show up. That's for sure.
I knew it was on its way. I didn't expect it tonight though.
yeah, let's go ahead and keep that up.
All right, so we'll get the wrapping out of there. Let me see. A question regarding California legal. Are any of the pistols California legal?
The California laws are always changing.
Well, here's the thing about California and pistols. If it's not on a roster, you pretty much can't have it. So without me knowing for sure, I'm gonna guess and say probably not.
So we're getting a hard no on that from James here. You know any more details? Okay, so yeah,
we can happily build any of our models into California compliant features configuration.
Right. Yeah. So James is saying any of our rifles. So if you see an available rifle or you see a ready rifle, you can go, you can order that and then we'll make it California compliant. Or if you live in New York, anything like that, we can make sure these rifles are compliant. So anybody that lives behind the enemy lines for AR-15s, we can work with you guys and make sure you can get a JP rifle set out there.
This is actually a good question about the M-LOK. Are the M-LOK slots that are over the gas block usable?
James?
I'll have to double check on that. I don't know off the top of my head. My initial guess is going to be no, but I'll get back to you shortly.
Really great. Thank you. And then here's another question. Any chance the GMR-15 will have an Namby mag release in the near future?
That's a good question.
That is a great question. That is another engineering question there that I cannot actually.
Good thing we have that guy from engineering here today.
Yeah, well, that's why whenever they said we were going to do this, I know some of the questions that come through, and a lot of times it involves an engineer. So,
yeah.
Mr. Neat, if you have anything to add to that, now would be the time.
At this time, currently no, but maybe in the future.
Right. Now, I have seen a GMR out there that is Namby. It is Namby, but that is Mark Roth over at Roth Performance who got a little crazy.
Does some interesting stuff.
Yeah, he got a little crazy over there with the mill, and it works, but nothing that has been approved or sanctioned by JP on that.
You guys could always just shoot, the right way.
That's foolish.
Correct-handed. I mean, just the thought. I don't know. For what it's worth.
We put that in a post, and we had a couple of guys that are left-handed come back and kind of give us some crap about that. And I was like, well, I mean, we're right-handed. You guys are left-handed. It's just that friendly rivalry we got going on.
I'm right-handed. It's just easier to shoot left-handed.
Yeah, but I saw you shoot. You should just not shoot.
I'm gonna take one more question on the M-LOK. How about is there a thermal dissipator that works with that, or is there any in the future?
As at the moment, there's not a thermal dissipator that works with this. I know we are messing around with getting a thermal dissipator that will fit under there, but at the moment we are not offering that. That is something that a lot of the employees have been pushing for. So we'll keep that push for you guys going for sure, because I love to have all my rifles with thermal dissipator.
Yeah, I think it looks sweet and work really well.
Right. Yep.
10% of the population is now officially aligned against Josh Freilich.
There were a lot more than that. Let's be real.
10% of the viewing population.
Yeah, that's really good. All right. Let's move on a little bit to rifles. I got two questions about rifles. One would be, what's a good setup for just like a dedicated coyote rifle?
Nathan Payne has been running a JP-15 that was his dad's. It's old. It's an older one, but it's got an 18-inch barrel on it. He just threaded the comp off and put a can on there, and that's what he's been running. I think I got a couple of pictures and videos this past week where he took out a couple of coyotes this past week, actually.
Yeah, he's been doing really well.
Yeah, it's a JP-15, 18-inch barrel, medium contour.
223 wild.
Yeah, 223 wild.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal rifle, and I've actually seen that guy shoot 3-gun matches with that rifle and win. And now he's out there smoking coyotes with it. So I definitely go with the JP-15 just because of the weight and everything there.
Yeah, I would too.
And you can get away with, I mean, our barrels are extremely accurate. So you could get away with the 14.5 inch if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably put a 16 on there so I don't have to have a pin and weld, and then I can run a suppressor on there.
Josh,
without having to.
Josh has been clearing, critters lately. What do you think about that, Josh?
Well, so for coyotes, I've got some distance out at the farm. And so I wanted to have a 224 gun. I wanted to be able to shoot a coyote responsibly, ethically, out to 6, maybe 550, 600 yards. So I built a 224 Valkyrie 22-inch gun out of an old 3-gun rifle. We just rebarreled a PSC-11, one of my original JPs, with the lightest contour I could get my hands on in 224 Valkyrie. And so it's a relatively light gun. I put a pretty heavy optic on it, but I'm shooting stuff way out there with it. And so I just bipod that thing up in a stationary position, and if I can see it, I can shoot it. And so that's been a nice platform for that.
I'm glad you brought that up. We actually have two 224 Valkyries on our available page right now, and they're a smoking deal too. So if that's something you're interested in, go over there and check that out. But yeah, 224 Valkyrie is going to work just as you can still put that in a JP15. So you can have the lightweight forged upper, forged lower with a barrel that's going to reach out to 900 yards all day with no problem. And if you're a guy that really needs to reach out and poke a coyote, that's going to be a perfect setup for you. If you want to go a little, you're not going to be shooting out that far, you can still run the 224 Valkyrie on that, or you can also go to the 223 556.
Absolutely. I think it works well for all of it.
Yeah.
Cool. Another question and about rifles, and I know this is near and dear to JP's heart. Duty guns. What do you guys recommend for a duty setup?
So our duty setup, we got a couple of different configurations. Matt's gonna grab one here, and I'm gonna let Matt tell you guys exactly about this rifle here.
Okay, this is kind of a staple around here, JP15 Patrol. It's got a 223 Wild 16-inch barrel on it. It's JP's handguard, JP forged upper and lower. It does not have a silent capture spring in it. It has their centerless ground spring in it and a full mass carrier. It is a really solid rifle at a great price, and you really can't beat it. These are $14.98 and 3 free mags with it today, along with the best scope mount on the market.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't beat it.
Right. Now, if you, we do have a LEO mill program. We have or law agent or the agency program. So we have a couple of tiered rifles in there. So if you are with a law enforcement agency and you're looking to get into some rifles, we just did a build of 60 for a SWAT team here in the United States that we sent out to them. They're all SBRs. Semi-auto, they're just an SBR. So anybody could actually build them, but they are built to be ready for a suppressor. So they come with a variable mass in them. You can get a couple different rifle links. So we've got 2 or 3 different tiers for that. So if you go over to JP Rifles and then you click on product, I think it's a JP Rifle product page, and scroll down. I can't see the website in my right here, but you can scroll down and we have we've got a agency program there. So also a cool thing about the LEO rifles is if you purchase one in your law enforcement, if you happen to have to use your rifle while on work and it's taken from you to go through the processing for that case, we will actually build and ship you another rifle so you can have the exact same rifle that you had, and you use that until you get your new rifle back. And then even with that, you can send your rifle to us. That was, if they tried to take it apart during the processing, we'll go through it and make sure it meets the specs and everything and send it back to you. So it's that's called our We Got Your Back program.
That's a pretty sweet program.
That's a really cool program. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. We got a little break in the questions right now. So if you got questions, go ahead and put them up on Instagram, on the JP Rifles Instagram page, or on Facebook, either JP or Arnzen Arms, and let us know. We'll get to them shortly. I'd like to take a second though, while we're halfway through this, and we've got a lot of people on this that may know nothing about JP. Could you give us just a little background on the company and why JP?
Yeah. So John Paul been shooting guns his entire life, pretty much. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of the stories or podcasts, the guy's been shooting really his entire life. And he was always, he's always been kind of a tinker, wanting to make the best product, no matter what it is, whether it was a car, a motorcycle, firearms. And as the story goes, he brought in a AR one day. He used to own a gun shop. He brought in an AR one day and had heard all these stories of these things are not accurate or anything like that. And his mind started going crazy, and he started playing around with it and took it out to a match and actually beat some guys with a bolt gun. And I think from there, it really took off, where it was in his head that he could build the most accurate and best performing AR platform on the market. And that's really where, JP came from. He started with just buying, getting the parts that were going to run the best in an AR and putting them in the basement. He was sending out, putting little magazines together and sending that out to people back in like 1992 and stuff like that. And over time, he just started developing his own product. And the very first product he ever developed was the Recoil Eliminator, which is still to this day the #1 compensator on the market. They literally will not let you. They've changed the rules specifically for that one compensator. Josh runs them, and James Neat they both run them on their rifles. Dakota ran one on her world rifle. It is still to this day the most efficient compensator on the
That
market.
most god awful loud one out there too.
Well, that's actually perfect because right now there's a question here. Is it worth changing out the UM tactical brake to a JP tank brake and open?
So I don't shoot open, but I'm gonna give you my opinion from shooting.
Or we could just let one of the
Both
open
of
class
those
shooters tell you.
Well, I shot both of them. I shot both of them, and I say 100% yes.
Got it.
James, Dakota, both, or Josh, all three of you shoot this thing.
Yep.
What do you got? What do you guys think?
Dakota, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I personally spent last year, I actually tested a variety of comps, and honestly, I did not find one that I liked better than the Recoil Eliminator from JP. I mean, like any other comp, if you tune it correctly and kind of tune it to how you're shooting, then you can honestly make it so that it hardly moves like at all. Like my optic definitely does not come off target. I mean, I shoot pretty far out and it stays there. It's fantastic. I haven't had a single issue with it either. It's my favorite. I debated switching to shooting open over tack just simply because I like my rifle setup so much.
You should do it. That would be my suggestion. Come to open. It's more fun.
Hey, Josh,
So the RE is, originally when I first looked at muzzle brakes, I looked at everything, absolutely everything. The old school SJC, remember that thing? That thing is so loud too. I remember that bad boy right when I was getting started. Tried everything, tried them all. And I hesitated with the RE because back then, not many guys were shooting open. Not many people were running REs in 3-gun. And so I was like, I don't know if I can fit that thing in the VTAC slot. And I don't know if I can, I was making excuses. And then I shot one. And when I shot one, I stopped making excuses. And now I've had them on my rifles ever since. And so if you haven't shot a gun with an RE on it, you should try it before you make an assumption on what the thing is going to do, because it's going to do more than you think it's going to do. It's a super sweet brake, and I haven't shot anything that I liked more.
So before James Deet was at JP, I actually saw him running a home-built rifle, but the one thing I noticed on there was he had a huge recoil eliminator on there. So where you at on that, James?
I've mentioned before, I have terrible recoil management. It's the worst in the world. And I run an RE because I can aim once, rip the trigger twice, and I'm getting my 2 hits.
Really great. So I'm going to address something right now because we've had one gentleman say a couple of things in this chat. He's got an issue with a build.
Yeah.
And he'd like to know the protocol for addressing that, how to address that. Right? So
what I'd say is send me a personal email and then I'll get you over to the party that needs to handle that. So send me an email at dustin.sanchez@jprifles.com. Once again, that's Dustin.Sanchez, SANCHEZ @jprifles.com. And then, like I said, I'll get you over to the people that will get you taken care of. No problem. I'll get that handled.
Yeah, look, if you manufacture anything, there's always going to be issues, and it's how the company deals with it that matters. And you guys have been great for me over the years, so I have no doubt that'll get handled with a quickness.
Yeah, and that email address, anybody watching this, if you got any questions, go ahead and just send them over to me. I'll get to them as soon as I can, or I'll get them over to the parties that could handle that question the best for you.
Really good. Actually, kind of a follow-up on that. Well, not a follow-up on that. Someone was looking for a quote for international custom order. It's taking a little longer than he had hoped. I'm assuming COVID based at this point is what he said. How are you guys doing with maybe letting people know some expectations around response times right now under the current circumstances would be a good idea.
Yeah. So on our website, when the bulletin opens or the page opens up, the top border up there is kind of letting people know we are experiencing an extremely high demand right now. We are getting back to the emails as fast as possible. Once again, my email address, I just threw that out there. Feel free to just send that over to me and I can get that over to a salesman and see what I can do for you to help you out there.
Really great. Okay, let's dig in. A couple more questions. Are the JP rifles built utilizing the Thermo fit process?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy.
Yes.
Maybe you could describe that a little bit.
Some are, some are not.
Yes. So like a patrol rifle you brought up is not thermo fit, but yes, if you do a custom order, so if you go through our rifle builder and build a rifle out there, if you would even call in and talk to our salesman about a rifle, in some ready rifles, they are thermo fit. If that is something you are looking for, definitely when you call in to order a rifle, you can talk to the salesman and make sure that is thermo fit, or you can always send us a message on any of our social media platforms about a certain rifle. If you're looking at a ready rifle, whatever, and we'll get back to you on that if that is thermo fit. But we take a lot of pride in our thermo fit. We've been doing that for years. We actually just put a video out on that about 4 or 5 months ago, showing the process of how we do that.
That's
So
a great
that's
video.
out there for you too. Yeah. Hey, real quick, I hope James Neat has this, but we have a surprise for all of you guys, especially all you PCC guys. Hey, James, do you have that with you right now?
Of course I do.
Yes. Will you show that to the audience? Sorry if you're on IG, I can't show this to you. I do not have one in.
They can see it sort of. It's going to be a little delayed, but on the feed here.
All right,
so.
perfect. James Neat, why don't you break that out? Let's surprise everybody with it and talk to them about it.
So I've mentioned how terrible I am at recoil management. Picking up PC, it's even worse for me. So I've spent a lot of time trying to go into war on recoil. I came out with a handguard weight a little while ago, and now we finally got these little guys in. So this is a vertical port compensator. So it's similar in design to our 3-port compensator, except instead of having ports on the side, all the ports are on top. And this is to try to blow the rifle down and to try to reduce that dot climb that you get when you're getting hammered by that 9mm recoil. So it's got decorative cuts on the side. It's got a flat on the bottom. You might be able to see it says JP on the bottom on that flat, and nice big comps. I've had quite a few people already ask, does it really do anything? How does that work? 9mm recoil. There's not enough gas for you to use. I've heard quite a few comments to that effect. And go out to a range with a fully automatic GMR and try to get A-zone hits on an A-zone size steel at 15 yards with a bare muzzle, with a 3-port comp, and with a vertical port comp. You'll learn very quick that, yes, this absolutely does do something. We even played around with some of the science on some of these angles and things, and we were actually able to get to the point where it would blow the muzzle down, and you had to start at the top of the plate and work the muzzle down instead of the other way around. That's not the production one. We've since eased up on it, but that's to show how effective that it can get. So this is coming out, available soon. This is hot off the machine literally this week. So still got some metal finish and polishing work to do on it, but this will be coming out very, very soon.
And as soon as those go, we're going to be dropping them on the website at jprifles.com. We will, I believe we're releasing those not the beginning of May, but it's going to be the beginning of June. We'll actually put a new product showcase video out, but if they're ready to go before then, we are going to launch them on our website. We will be letting everybody know through our social media platforms that compensator is ready to go. And I've been at the range when James was running that. It is phenomenal.
I imagine that I'll be adding that to the website here too, as part of the part selection that we have here from JP.
Right. And I've seen you shoot. You should put one on your rifle.
And then while I got you here, the question earlier on if you can use the M-Lock accessories by the gas block, the answer is it depends. If you have the wider 2-piece one, you can have it on the bottom. It gets very close on the side. It will work, but it is mighty close. And if you have one of the clamp-on ones where the clamp is on the bottom, you can have it on the sides easily. And again, you can put it on the bottom, but it gets very, very close. So
when you're talking about the 2-piece, you're talking about the GS9D.
Yep.
Okay. And then the other one is the GS5S or GS5B. Okay.
Yep, you got it.
Make sure people got the actual gas block numbers there. Perfect.
You guys are supposed to separate a little because of this COVID thing.
Oh,
Don't really, because I'm not set up for that. All right, cool. We got a little break in the questions. So please, if you guys have questions or comments, please put them in at Facebook at Arnzen Arms or at JP. We'll see them, and on the JP Instagram page. Before we jump into the sale again, I'd like to hear a little bit from, Josh and from Dakota about, how you guys discovered JP, why JP for you. Doesn't need to be a sales pitch. Just like, what are your experiences with these guns?
Well, personally, I started shooting when it's right after I turned 12. And literally since my first 3-gun match, I've only used JP just because JP has a very big community here in Minnesota. And just, I feel like everybody that I shoot with shoots a JP. So borrowing rifles ended up being shooting a JP. And I seriously have not shot anything else in competition. That's what I've been exposed to. I've tried shooting other things, but I always come back to JP. And yeah, haven't had any issues. Everything has literally been to my needs. And I'm a small person if you don't know me. So
She is, and she runs a you run a SCR 11 with a 16-inch barrel. Is that right?
yes, correct.
Yeah. So a lot of people will talk about the handguard size, and she's got smaller hands. She has no issues with the handguard.
No, not yeah.
And no issues with the weight of that rifle. So yeah.
Yeah, she shoots it very well.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Josh?
Yeah, well, interesting question. I talk a lot with new shooters about the direction the whole buy once, cry once thing, because I learned lessons. I didn't have the luxury. I didn't start with nice stuff. I mean, when I started my first year 3-gun, I had a 16-inch M4 style, no free float handguard. You know, it was not a 3-gun rifle. And, you know, what I found was over the first maybe 18 months or 24 months, it was slowly becoming more and more JP. I'd get, save some money, I'd drop a JP trigger in it that I bought from Andre at Arnzen a few years back. And then, you know, save some more money, I'd get the bolt carrier group. And I noticed, you know, after I think it was probably my second full season, all the guts in my gun and the comp were JP. And at that point I was like, all right, what am I doing? Why don't I just go buy? I had probably, you know, about a JP expense, you know, putting this thing all together because, you know, you guys put a decent deal together when you buy the full rifle. And so, you know, I could have just bought a gun and then, you know, had you guys put the thing together versus me, and I do not belong gunsmithing. And so, yeah, you know, after a couple of years of just, you know, slowly getting more and more JP parts and being happy with them, I just made the leap. And now these days, I don't tinker on anything. You know, I don't need to. I just run guns that come ready to go. I don't swap triggers. At most, I'll swap like a weight on an SCS just to play around with it and make sure it shoots the way I want it to. But that's it. You know, I can just shoot these things. And so that's how I got into JPs, just slowly, one part at a time. And then finally just said nonsense, quit playing around and trying to do my own gunsmithing and just buy a gun that works. And I've been shooting complete JP rifles now for about 4 years. And they do what I need. They're great, super accurate, super reliable, really good guns.
I feel like that's the story for most of the JP, you know, the JP fanboys out there, is that we all started off with a comp here and then do a barrel or a barrel kit or, you know, trigger.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Me, it was silent captured springs. I started throwing those into guns. Then there's a trigger, and now it's complete rifles. There's a lot to be said about a complete factory rifle, especially one from these guys with thermal fitting of the barrel and all that stuff. Right. They shoot phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's run through the sale real quick, and I got a couple more questions.
All right. So sale going from now through Sunday. If you buy a JP rifle, any of our in-stock rifles here, MR19, JP15, you name it, with bolt guns like the MR19, you'll get a couple of free AICS mags. With 223 5.56 guns, you're going to get 3 of these. And for 9mm, you're going to get 1 of the Glock 33 round mags. Also, with any of those, you will get a free JP scope mount.
Awesome. All right. This one's actually directed right to James Neat. 16 or 18?
Or barrel length for 223.
I'm going to say it's, let's go with 223, just given that there's no other information.
Yep. If you're looking at 223, my preference 18-inch light profile. It gives you much softer shooting. It's still same great accuracy. You get everything else. It's a little bit heavier than a 16, obviously, but again, I have terrible recoil management, so I want that extra weight so that my gun doesn't move around as much on me. But that's my preference. Most of the other shooters that are on the JP team are running 18-inch light profile. Dakota's the only outlier just because she's small.
I like 14 and a half, Penny Weld.
I do too.
Hey,
I just like the way they swing.
I just want to throw this out there. We keep hearing a lot about James Neat not being able to shoot. I want you guys to all know he's better at engineering than he is shooting. So
That is true.
feel safe out there, okay?
Well, at
Hey,
least he's good at one of them.
Right. I wanted to talk about the Ilmar 19.
Okay. Yeah, this MR19 that we have here is pretty sweet. 6.5 Creedmoor. It has a 26-inch barrel on it. It's in JP's APAC chassis. There's nothing not to like about this gun. These have been great sellers for us.
For those of you on Instagram, we'll be coming around here in a second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slowly.
So this one doesn't have a Cerakote or anything on it. We've had a couple of them like that, but we kind of like the matte gray hard coat finish on it. MR19s have a fantastic folding stock and an ultimatum deadline action. There's really nothing better out there.
So another little teaser here. Next week, we will be releasing the bag rider for this actual APAC here. So it's going to go on the back on the stock here. So you can actually shoot with bags and everything on the
Attached to back here.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, it's going
that's
to attach
cool.
to the back of the stock here. So
Very cool.
yeah, pretty cool. So the phenomenal rifle. I know Josh actually uses the APAC chassis, so you can buy the chassis just by itself. It fits in most Remington 700 actions. But Josh, you run this with as a 22, correct?
Yeah, I bought a Voodoo barreled action for it. Again, got to get your hands on that thing to really know what you're dealing with. When I first looked at it, I was like, folding stock on a precision gun, I was like, that's not going to be solid. Again, made a missed assumption. When I got my hands on it, though, I was like, oh, wow, that's the most rigid, solid folding stock I've ever got my hands on. And so all of this stuff, you talk a little bit about the history of JP and innovation and some of that stuff. Like, they make things work that didn't work before. And so when you see some of these things and you go, I don't know if I want a folding stock because maybe that's not strong enough or maybe that's not rigid enough. It's like, yeah, go try it. You'll see. The RE, same way. I don't know if I need a brake that's that big. It's like, try it. You'll see. All of that stuff, I'd say just get your hands on one of these guns. It's not a normal AR-15. It's not a normal bolt gun. They're very, very high end. Very good stuff.
A lot I was trying to say was, earlier was John Paul's been shooting a lot. It's all about accuracy, and the guy can shoot really well. And he'll take something, and because he's naturally a tinkerer, he's going to figure out a way to make it better. And that's kind of cross the lines from everybody at JP. And one thing we like to tell everybody is, these are rifles that are built for shooters by shooters. So we're not just making something, throwing it out there. We're actually going out to the range. We're testing everything. We're shooting them in matches. We're shooting them in competitions. We have people like Josh that goes out and tests everything to make sure that our final product we put out there is going to be exactly what the market needs. And sometimes we are actually ahead of the market, and we have to sit there for some products for a while. But yeah, check out the MR19 for you guys out there that are looking into bolt guns. We also have an APAC chassis. So check that out. But I mean, that's a phenomenal deal you got going on with the MR19 today here at Arnzen Arms, and you're going to be very happy with that. I promise you that.
Cool. Yeah. Got another question on a very different subject. Do you guys make a cleaning rod guide for the GMR-15 yet?
We do not.
Got it. Is there any plans for that sucker?
James Neat. I'm going to refer to James Neat for all of this.
Nothing currently in the works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a lot of these things. We've got so many things that we're wanting to do and put out there. But with engineering, we want to make sure everything meets and surpasses our JP spec before we release it. So, you know, if you're thinking about it now, we've probably thought about it, and it's probably in the system somewhere to come out.
It is on a list.
Time. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So, so I've been reading through comments. Some of them are just, I mean, it's just a lot of people loving all over their guns, and they keep bringing up the barrel and how great the barrel is over and over and over again. And then there's one question in here about what's the expected life on, like, let's just say the super match barrel.
Okay. So, hey, Josh, I'm going to just throw this over to Josh, because I know a round count that he's got on some of his rifles to give you guys an example of the barrel life. So Josh, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, no problem. You know, the answer is you just like anything that's made of metal or made by man, you can wear stuff out. But with that said, not in the normal round count most people will shoot in a lifetime. I mean, I had my original red and black gun. We were over 50K, and that was my only gun. That was my match gun, my practice gun. I was just shooting it every day. And when I say 50K, I mean, like, I go out with mags loaded, 500 rounds in mags. I have to wear a glove on my support hand because I got the gun so hot that everything smokes when I put it down to grab a new mag. And so not only is it 50K, but it's abuse. It's rough on it. And that gun still shot. It still shot nice. And I mean, I wanted a new barrel in a new gun for my match gun, but until I put a 224 barrel in it, I'd take that thing out anytime, no problem. I think it was still around 1 MOA, but it was way better when I first got it. And so, good luck wearing it out. I mean, that's what I'd tell you, unless you're, doing this for a living.
Yeah, I have a lot of people ask questions about it, and a lot of times I'll use Josh as an example of how many rounds you can put through that, because a lot of the guys I will end up talking to, they're looking at maybe 12,000 rounds an entire lifetime of their rifle, and the barrel should do that. However, just with anything that's metal, it can fail, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not everything is going to be the consistent like we would all hope. So there is a chance that we have a bad barrel out there. That's anywhere in the industry, but for the most part, like Josh has got close to 50,000. I have other sponsored shooters out there that's got the same out there. I've got an ultralight 308 and a 14.5 inch. I've got 15,000 rounds through that of 155 grain. She's still shooting lights out, which I
You're
think
shooting some screaming stuff through that thing too, aren't you?
Yeah. So our barrels are phenomenal. Does engineering have anything on that?
Nothing that hasn't been said already.
Okay, cool.
Well, here's one for engineering. I recently purchased your enhanced 9mm bolt and buffer. Now, this might be blasphemy, but I already have a Gibbs side charging upper I plan to put it in. Is there any? That's awesome. It's a good question, right? You guys sell parts too, right? So is there any known compatibility issues with this combo?
I'm unfamiliar with the Gibbs and how that works, so I can't answer that at this time.
So I have seen our bolt in SES at PCC matches in a Gibbs upper and lower receiver. I don't know if they made any modifications to that. We know how competitive shooters are. Unless you're Josh, you don't tinker with anything. For the rest of us, we do tinker. So, but I have seen it out there. I have seen it ran. I have not, like I said, I don't know if they made any modifications to it. So at this moment, I'd say you should be good. But that's.
And I'd agree. Looking at their website very, very briefly, it looks like it just uses the same ledge that your top charge handle uses.
Yep.
And if that's the case, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, our 9mm bolt and carrier, or the carrier and the SES, they're compatible with most receivers I've seen out there. I'm trying to think of some that they're not. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of any right now. But for the most part, we work with everything.
It's another GMR question. With the new 9mm bolt system combined with the short stroke, the last was, I'm going to read this differently. I take that back. The guy's got a new 9mm bolt system with a short stroke, and he's wondering if it'll lock back.
But it's not in our system?
It did not indicate.
Okay.
Let's say with or without.
Depends on which bolt you have.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to depend on the receiver that you have. So if you have the short stroke bolt with the lockback, last round lockback on there, and it's in a GMR, it will go into lockback. It should. Well, I can't say it should. It depends. That's such a hard question to answer. I have to actually be there with that receiver and see that receiver.
Got it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Perfect. Cool. Well, let's run through what we got going on again, and then we're going to wrap this guy up unless something else comes in.
Yeah. All right. So sale from now until Sunday. We're doing free scope mounts with any JP rifles purchase. That's whether it's 223 bolt action or 9mm. If you happen to go bolt action, you're going to get a couple of these AICS mags. 223s are going to be 3 magazines on top of this scope mount. Awesome scope mount. And then if it's 9mm, it is one of the Glock 33 round mags, again with a scope mount. Now through Sunday, give us a check online. All of our rifles are on our website in stock at arnzenarms.com. Or give us a call to shop.
Yeah. So if any of you guys weren't tuned in when we first started, I want to talk about this scope mount again. Not a whole lot of people know about our scope mounts or even our 45-degree offset mount. So Dakota, do you want to talk about the scope mount, or Josh?
Well, from my experience running it, honestly, that's the only scope mount that I run in competition. And if anybody out there knows anything about competition, there's a lot of throwing rifles and barrels, and I experienced no shift. I haven't had any issues with this scope mount, and even moving it from gun to gun, there's hardly any adjustments I have to make further than that.
Yeah, I haven't moved it around much. I try to leave things the way they are. Again, I'm not a tinkerer even with that stuff. Once I zero a gun, I try to leave it. But what I do notice is I used to really worry, and some different platforms I do worry that my zero is going to shift from travel. Right, I pack all this stuff into airline safe travel box and stuff like that. And I used to really worry about my scopes. And as soon as I got to the new place, I'd want to zero them before the match. And after a year and a half or so of traveling and shooting matches, neither my scopes get messed up nor the mounts get messed up. And now I have faith and trust because I have the right stuff. And so super heavy duty gear, both the offset mount that I run on PCC and all of my rifles for that matter, and then the scope mounts. They're just heavy duty, well built, and you can run them in confidence and not have to worry about stuff getting messed up.
Yeah. So I see a lot of questions out on social where people are talking about offset mounts, and I have to say the offset mount that we have, Josh has truly tested that offset mount, and if it hasn't broke with him or lost point of impact or any shift with that thing, I definitely say that has been proven to be the 45-degree offset mount to run.
Yeah, it's a winner. I used to shoot a bunch of different stuff. I've tried all of them, I think, that are out there, and I used to break a few, throwing them into barrels. Throw it into a barrel right side first, or something funny happens, and snap, it's off, or your zero's off on the next stage, or whatever on some of the old stuff I used to run. Doesn't happen. I might smash something or this or that, but my zero's not changing. I'm doing all right. So really, really heavy duty stuff. If you look at them, even the way the bolts that hold the things in place, it's got 2 bolts that go through the receiver versus a lot of the other mounts have 1. That's the offset dot. And then these scope mounts have just a ton of bolts running through the receiver versus the traditional 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 or whatever you might see on some other stuff. So it's on there. It's not coming off. You don't have to worry about the mounts.
Sure is. I'm getting the signal here.
Yeah, well, at least for Instagram, we have to cut. We have 30 seconds before our 1 hour is up there. So if you're on Instagram right now, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the questions, and we'll see you guys next time. Check out Arnzen Arms JP brand site section and JP Rifles for their available inventory. All of those would qualify for the sale. Thanks, everybody. If you're on Facebook, hang out for a sec.
Cool. What all firearms? Let's break down each rifle that you guys have here in stock, because I know right now with with everything going on with COVID, people are buying guns or buying parts, and it's hard to find stuff. And
Yeah,
you know,
and-
we're back. You know, we're just like most companies. We had to push some of our dates back.
Yes.
So if somebody come to Arnzen and get a rifle right now, get it shipped out to them the next day, or even walk in here and buy it, let's tell them what you got here so they can come in and check them out.
Yeah, right now I have 2 ultralights, 14.5-inch pin and welded. One is with purple controls and thermal. The other is, what color is that one? Black controls and thermal. After that, I got 2 patrol rifles. No extra stuff on those. Fantastic gun. This is actually one of my favorites in the shop right now. This one with the purple on it. Yeah.
This is an ultralight 14.5-inch pin and weld. So it is our ultralight ladies rifle. However, I know a lot of guys that want this, and it's the color of it. It's so cool.
In fact, every person that has asked me about this rifle has been a man.
Yeah, it is a cool rifle. And
I'd shoot that.
Yeah, the camera doesn't do the purple justice. It
No.
practically glows in person.
Yeah.
It's really
great.
cool.
It's great. And then we had the same exact rifle with black accents on it, and then a couple of the patrol rifles. Those are all the 223s that we have.
Real quick, when you're on that, because I'm thinking 223 is probably part of the answer, is we got a question. What's your opinion on the best all-around JP? What is it? I can only have one.
I think your best all-around rifle is going to be something in 223. It's just a matter of configuration after that.
Yeah, I'd say JP15 if you could only have one, because you can get all the toys with it.
Well, yeah. Hard to beat.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, JP15 is a very popular rifle. I know that was the first thing that I wanted and had to get. I mean, if you're going for something that's very classic JP, then you're going to be looking at a CTR02, an LRP07, which is a side charger only. Those are going to be like the more of the Cadillac part of the of JP
Yes.
if you're looking at it. But if you're just looking at getting one and you are on a budget, you're looking at JP15. And after that, it's going to be what you really want to do with it, the weight that you want out of it. But this, honestly, if I could only get one, I wouldn't be opposed to getting this rifle right here.
No, the thing's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, these are $24.99. Average price on one of the custom builds that we have on our wall is anywhere between 21 and 25, depending on if it has paint job or not.
Do we have anything in 300 Blackout right now?
No, JP does not do 300 Blackout anymore.
No, we do not do 300 Blackout anymore. That has actually been one of the most popular questions I have received in the past month on social. And yeah, we don't offer it anymore. Actually, Josh Fralick, if whoever's wanting one can be mad at Josh Fralick. He took
I snagged the last one. Yeah. And then I started promoting it, and now you guys are probably real pissed.
I've been a little busy because of your post, so thank you.
What's the best buffer system for the 224 Valkyrie?
Josh, what are you running in yours?
Good question. Whatever you guys sent home with. I leave that to JP. Yeah, on that one.
Now, a lot of times people are going to run the JP SES 2-15, which is the all steel on there. I personally always go for the heaviest SES. So when I'm looking at a rifle, I want to go with the heaviest SES, and then I'm going to buy the steel weights because the steel weights are about $10 a piece after that. And then I'm going to go out to the range, and just like I work on fine tuning my gas block when I get to the range, and then how I take my time sighting my rifle in, I'm going to do the exact same thing with my SES to get it to perform the best. And everybody has a different shooting style, so we all stand differently, we all have different muscles that work differently. So I always preach, like, get the parts and look at it as Legos. Go out to the range, play with it, and get that SES fine-tuned to your rifle and your shooting style, and that's truly how you're going to be the happiest there. I'm not trying to upsell anybody on more weights. That's the best answer.
The majority of our customers that have purchased 224 Valkyrie rifles have gone with an H2 buffer system, and they are super happy with it. The gun performs exactly as they want.
Yeah,
cool. So there's been a couple questions about will this discount, this promotion we're doing right now, work for international, given all of the time it takes and everything. So I'd like to just clear that up by having them contact you directly.
Yeah.
And if we can honor it, we will. Right.
Yeah.
So that's Dustin j.sanchez@jprifles.com, correct?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, and like I said, send me your questions, and I'm going to get those sent out to the proper parties there. If I can answer them, I will. If not, I'm going to get them over to the service or sales, and we'll make everything happen from there.
And look,
Sure.
we got that there's extenuating circumstances in the world right now, and if there's you're talking to two companies that'll make it right if they can.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Should we wrap it up, fellas?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. I mean, I'm going to miss talking to Josh and Dakota. I don't know about James Neat, but I'm going to miss talking to the other two guys for sure.
I don't know. I
Guy-
mean, kind of like James.
guy. So,
What a guy.
yeah.
Guy.
So, hey, Dakota, do you have anything to add to this before we let everybody go?
Well, I don't know. I don't know much. All I know is JP is kind of magic, and I'm pretty sure that's why Josh is so successful. That's it. That's the only reason. Well, okay, it might be the ammo too. Federal all the way. But
You got it. You got it in there. I was like, awesome. I think we should end with JP is kind of magic.
Yeah. I like
Yeah, kind of magic.
Really great. Have an awesome.
very much magic.
We don't know what the next one's going to be yet, but we're in talks with our good friends at Vortex. We're trying to get that up for you next week.
Mhm.
And just everybody take care of yourselves and be safe. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you soon.
On behalf of JP, thanks for having us, and thanks for watching, guys.